Chhattisgarh, one of the country's newly created states, home to a number of Adivasi population, now slowly but steadily covering lost ground. More than 70% of the Chhattisgarhi population still lives in villages. A large part of them belongs to various tribes who have traditionally been away from the modern life, away from education, awareness, and miles away from the real financial identity. Biretra is a small village near Raipur in Chhattisgarh. Farmers in this region primarily cultivate paddy, and when the harvesting season isn't on, they find various odd jobs under the MGNREGA scheme that provides a guarantee of 100 days of employment for rural households every financial year at a minimum wage of 120 rupees per day. While the scheme has been in place for more than 5 years, it was only in the last 2 years that the villagers have started receiving their wages consistently.
पहले 3 साल तक काम किया, उसमें मुझे डोमा बैंक जाना पड़ता था। डोमा ग्रामीण बैंक जो है 4 किलोमीटर दूर है और उसमें पूरा दिन लग जाता था। अब ऐसा सुविधा हो गया है कि घर में हमारा एक्सिस बैंक के जरिए पैसा घर में ही मिल जाता है।
His story used to be the same across villages, where there were and still are no bank branches. The beneficiaries of government schemes thus had to depend on the nearest post office to receive payments. But with a few days set aside for disbursal and a huge master service, the system left a lot desired. But 3 years ago, it all changed when a national bank was appointed as per the RBI directive to cover most of Biretra using the business correspondent model. Business correspondents are representatives of financial solutions and services companies that provide the convenience of door-to-door banking to villagers. One of the companies providing business correspondents or bandhus is Fino.
We had traditionally relied on branches to engage the customer. So there were big banks, public sector banks, private sector banks, there were regional banks, there were cooperative banks, but each one of them was focused on branch as a delivery model, and it was too expensive and was too less in terms of sheer presence to service this vast number of people, as I said 400 to 600 million people spread across 6 lakh villages. We had to go deeper. So with these objectives, Reserve Bank of India came out with the business correspondent guidelines to say that the bank or the insurance institution or the financial institution, instead of dealing with the customer through a physical outlet, which is a branch, and increasingly it had become ATMs also that time, but still a physical infrastructure, they can go deeper by using an agent who can act on their behalf and engage the customer.
The bandhus are recruited from among the villagers and therefore talk to them in a language that they understand.
जैसे हमने कार्ड डालबो ये में तो आप मन के रसीद निकली ऐसने टाइप के रसीद कागज निकली ये में सब आप मन के नाम रही कतका पैसा कमा हस्ते रथे और कतका पैसा बाँचे आपके खाते में, ये सब में दिखाते। पहले पास के गांव में डोमा में बैंक में जाते थे तो कभी कभी तो 2 दिन जाना पड़ता था, दिन भर में काम नहीं होता था तो 2 दिन में, और फिर भी बाहर जाते थे तो हाँ नाश्ता पानी का 10-20 अलग से ख़त्म हो जाता था, और एक दिन में काम नहीं हुआ तो दूसरा दिन जाना पड़ता था। तो ये सब परेशानी से निजात मिली है।
Today, the bank, in partnership with Fino, facilitates MGNREGA payments and health insurance benefits under the RSBY to about 400 villages in Biretra.
5 सालों से रोजगार गारंटी में जुड़ा हूँ, काम करता हूँ, और पहले पोस्ट ऑफिस में मिलता था, अब हमारे गांव में एक्सिस बैंक में पूर्ण पैसा मतलब मिलता है, कोई तकलीफ नहीं है।
Response is mixed response, but yes, it's quite encouraging one. While we started this drive, there was a very bad phase. In fact, we have been struggling with so many issues like technical issues in terms of mobile connectivity, because our devices works on mobile network. then road connectivity to those areas, then movement of cash, and coordination with government officials to speed up the disbursement process. And initial stages there were some delays from different parts. In fact, not only bank is responsible for that, but over a period of time we have worked on that. Whatever lacunas we have been facing, we have worked on that, and we have improved our performance to a greater extent. And now the beneficiaries are quite excited about this product and quite satisfied about this product. They have got a very, they are giving very positive response also.
The disbursement of these payments is done using biometrics and smart card technology. This has resulted in minimization of errors, fraud, and has enabled the administration to bring a larger section of the population under financial inclusion.
We are now going to an environment where there is no physical infrastructure. The agent was going to be moving around in a village, going to the customer's doorstep and doing the transactions. So we had to rethink the technology from that perspective, both from risk and convenience perspective. After doing various pilots, we concluded on saying that we will engage the customer by giving the agent a small handheld device which he can carry around, which will be charged or which will run on batteries because power in the villages may not be available, and which will be offline because connectivity in the villages is not assured. To the customer, we will give a smart card which will carry the fingerprints of the customer to validate that he is the right customer, because he is an illiterate customer, cannot sign, and carry all the records or all the products that the customer has with the system on the card.
But that said, the road ahead is not easy. While the administration is working to ensure more people are part of the financial inclusion movement, the roadblocks are still there.
कार्ड आने के बाद जो सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम फेस किया हम लोग को फिंगरप्रिंट मिसमैचिंग का। नॉर्मली नरेगा के जो वर्कर थे वो हार्ड वर्क करते हैं, गोदी खोद रहे हैं, मजदूरी करते थे, तो उस टाइम पे जो भी फिंगरप्रिंट के अंतर्गत रजिस्ट्रेशन के अंतर्गत जो उनका फिंगरप्रिंट्स लिया गया था, वो जब वास्तव में जब काम करके जाते थे नॉर्मली, तो वो फिंगरप्रिंट मिसमैच होता था। तो ऐसे रेयर केसेस आते थे, पूरा मैं मोस्टली केसेस में 70% केसेस उस टाइम था जब मजदूर बोलते थे कि हमारा भुगतान नहीं हो रहा है, जिसके कारण बहुत विरोध भी हुआ स्टार्ट में यहाँ पर। तो उसमें फिर धीरे धीरे मैकेनिज्म बदला गया, जो लगभग 90% एथेंटिकेशन था फिंगरप्रिंट मैचिंग करने का, उसको कम करा के 65 किया गया। तो 65% मैचिंग का जब क्राइटेरिया निर्धारित किया गया पॉट मशीन के थ्रू, तो ये चीज़ें क्या बोलते हैं कम हुई और लोगों का विश्वास बढ़ा।
There are certain section of people in our society where we are facing a bit of problem with acceptability of this model. And those people who are finding it difficult for various reasons, they are taking some time to start with, but gradually the transactions and accounts and the activity is improving.
Coming up after the break, we take a closer look at the banking correspondent model for financial inclusion and its future potential. The banking correspondent model has had a fairly successful run in the state of Chhattisgarh. Farmers, tribals, and people from various other communities have started trusting the system with their hard-earned money. However, for a service like the banking correspondent model to sustain, it needs to be economically viable for the banks as well as for the providers to operate and generate profits. The issues are manifold. Most beneficiaries don't keep their earnings in their savings account for a long time. A large section has opened accounts but has never made any transactions. Penetration of insurance too is slow. And for a system to be sustainable, there must be sufficient cash flow by means of various products, which still is an unfulfilled dream.
First part was RBI said do financial inclusion. What was the translation? Each family should have one account. Everyone went and opened the accounts. Never bothered to see how we'll use that account. He needs to know what is the power of the money saved 10 rupees saved every month, 100 rupees saved every month, what is the power? That he needs to be taught about.
COW. How many guys?
Birbal Yadav, a 45-year-old school teacher with the village of Birethra, doubles up as a banking correspondent when not working. Apart from delivering the payments, he has also been able to get a few villagers to insure themselves.
तो एक्सिस बैंक के तहत कुछ लोगों ने बीमा करवाई है जिसकी प्रीमियम 1 साल में 100 रुपया है। अगर मान लीजिए उनको कहीं दुर्घटना हो जाती है तो उनको बैंक की तरफ से 1 लाख रुपया का मुआवजा राशि उनको दिया जाता है। एक्सीडेंटल है ये।
However, stories like that of Birbal Yadav need to be repeated in huge numbers across the state before the region can call itself financially included. There is also a need to channel other social schemes and bring more products from government into the banking correspondent system.
Financial inclusion is not just savings account, not just credit, not just one transaction or one bank. It means a whole range of activities. And the first and most important is what happens in their community. If everybody says don't do it, they will not do it. If everybody says do it, even if they think it's not so important, they will do it. So we need to tap the community, not just a single transaction. You can't fix this in the bank. You can't fix this with the insurance company. You can fix it in the village.
But more than anything else, it is the village dweller that needs to be educated about the merits of a savings account, life and health insurances, loans, funds, bonds and other products. Financial awareness is the only way to ensure a viable and sustainable business correspondent model.
The unawareness can only be tackled when these services are available to the person, so he knows what he has been missing. Okay? Step one is making those services available, which the government is endeavoring. With the support of the government, the entire BC network is being set up. This will be the first step. They've never seen a bank account. Now they see a bank account. They see the ease of operating that bank account. Once they see that, that is when they will realize what they've been missing, and then we have to build on this foundation. This is just the beginning of the journey, just the tip of the iceberg, okay, opening a bank account. Step two is telling you what all can you do, what all other services that are available. Then only he will truly understand the power. And as we talked about poverty alleviation on the panel, the poverty alleviation will happen only when capital formation happens. For that, savings has to happen, credit flow has to happen.
The BC model comes loaded with features. It allows villagers to book railway tickets, recharge mobile phones, and make numerous other payments. But villagers are usually unaware of most of these services.
The BC model, the BCs can be used for sourcing of small credit proposals, sourcing of, say for example, housing loans, sourcing for insurance business, and sourcing for other services that are required. So, and for everything there is an incentive for them. It will also make them a little more viable, and the more it happens, the more the activity will develop. The key thing is to get engaged with the local people.
Coming up after the break, we take a look at the way forward for financial inclusion in the state of Chhattisgarh. While most states in India have set 2016 as the deadline to map every part of their state with financial services, it is indeed a tough task. As per the directive, every village with a population of more than 2,000 or where a bank branch is more than 5 kilometers away from the village needs to have a business correspondent model in place. But it's just not the rural poor, even the urban poor need to be included financially.
Reserve Bank of India again issued instructions that all the villages in Chhattisgarh having a population of more than 2,000 should be provided banking facilities. So, for that also 1,550 villages were identified and we have covered all the 1050 villages where financial services have been provided through banking correspondent and other modes of financial services like mobile ban, etc. So that work has already been done. Now again we are coming down to the villages below 2000. So for below 2000 there are around 19,000 villages in Chhattisgarh. Now a road map has already been prepared, and all the banks in Chhattisgarh have been allocated these villages. So that means, and all the villages in Chhattisgarh have been covered as far as roadmap to cover financial services maybe within next 3 years or so.
Another important catalyst to determine the pace of financial inclusion is the support from government on policies and legal framework. There is a need to identify and eliminate policies that stand in the way of growth.
Today there are very, very discrete, at times conflicting policy statements which are emerging. So there is already an investment which has gone in the infrastructure and the creation of the existing BC network. We have to ensure that the industry is provided continuity in the policy framework, so that if they make an investment, they are not at a risk later. Okay? That's one critical aspect which the government needs to do. Two, and which government has already decided but needs to actually turn it into reality, is to flow all benefits on the channel. Larger the cash flow, larger the sustainability, larger the ability of the channel to offer more to the customer. Okay? Last but not the least, customer awareness. A lot of effort needs to go into educating customers about financial and economic participation. Financial literacy is key.
Many of the rules and the regulations today are exclusive. They create exclusion, not inclusion. The government can and should revisit many of those rules that are unnecessary barriers.
Slowly but surely, banks have also realized the business potential they have in rural India. Apart from the BC model, the government and other financial institutions are mulling over introducing the concept of ultra-small branch banking to the villages for a real feel of the banking experience.
As of now, bearing these districts of left-wing extremists where some activities are going on, so all other districts have achieved 100% financial inclusion.
A real transformation of rural Chhattisgarh will begin only when the rural folk are truly aware of the power locked in their smart cards, the different financial services available with banks, and most importantly, why he or she needs to be financially included.
Women are very happy. Old people are very happy. Earlier their pension was actually being taken by their children. Now the pension will be made available only to them with their fingerprint. They are extremely happy because they are protected, this money is theirs, and only they can choose to use it or not choose it. So I think that confidence on the platform, and technology has played a big role, confidence on the platform has gone a long way in building the trust, saying only you can operate this account, as Aadhaar says it, your finger, your money.
Moving forward, by 2016, most of the remote villages and regions cut off from the urban India will have access to financial services and experience a sense of security in the face of crisis like medical emergency, bad harvest and acts of God.
In Chhattisgarh also, like a roadmap has already been prepared, and as per that roadmap, so banks have taken up time up to say 3 years or so. Even if we take 3 years, so now this is 2013. So by 2016, I think this financial services or products will be made available to all villages. I am quite hopeful in Chhattisgarh also.
Financial inclusion definition itself, I would say, doesn't mean only bank account or a deposit or a withdrawal or sending a remittance. Financial inclusion would mean that if I want to I want to buy a forward cover, it is available to me. If I want to construct a house, credit is available to me. If I want to do a business activity, a productive activity, loans are available to me. So for me, financial inclusion covers almost everything in this area. So, and this is my vision, that everyone who needs it has it.
But for that dream to come true, the whole of India needs to understand that the path to progress is a dusty, barren and uneven road. In the next episode, we have the leaders, policy makers and the captains of the industry discussing strategies to ensure 100% financial inclusion for the whole of our nation.